Welcome to Volunteer Tracker. Today I am going to talk to you about the clearances admin model for approving volunteers. If your organization uses this model, that means that you as the volunteer coordinator are directly involved in approving these volunteers. So I am here on the home screen for Volunteer Tracker. Now, there are two ways to get to this clearances admin page. We can go up to this volunteers menu and select the clearances admin submenu option, or we can simply go down here to the bottom left hand of the screen and select this pending volunteers quick link. So now that I'm on this page, I just want to walk you through a few things. This first column is going to be the review status. So volunteer applications that have come through but have not been reviewed are going to be marked as new. Then we have our location number 1 setting. Now, when a volunteer is filling out an application, they can select up to 3 of their preferred locations for volunteering. So you'll see volunteers who have selected your location as their first selection in this location column. And so that's how they show up for you. That's kind of how we make that determination. Over here, you'll see that the status is pending, and that's going to be pending until the volunteer is either approved or denied in the system. You can also see the submit date for the application. And then if we go back over here, you'll see the volunteer levels. Customers are going to configure their systems differently, so you may not have different levels of volunteers. In this case, we have 3, which is the maximum number of levels that you can have. And so let me explain to you what to do with this once you have these. So this one is showing as new, so we can simply click on this link and it'll open up this volunteer application. Now, once we have this open, you will scroll down until we see some checkboxes and dates. This is what we call our clearances admin section. And what you see here is going to vary depending on how your organization has been set up. But if you see items in this section that have checkboxes, these are the items that you're going to be responsible for verifying as volunteer coordinator. So in this case, you've asked them to attach their driver's license. So I can see in this attachment section at the top, anything that has been attached. In this case, the volunteer has provided this information, so I can simply click on the attachment that they provided, open those up, and I'll open this just so you can see what it looks like. So, we can see the driver's license. I can compare it with the information, make sure that the driver's license is valid. And then basically I can just say, yes, I received this, and you'll notice it's going to populate with a date and a reviewed by. I do have the option to choose the file name that's up here. I have a place to put review comments if I'd like. Now, at this point, if I'm also responsible for a sex offender check, I will go through whatever process is needed for that, and I can simply say yes or no that this is cleared. Once all of the items on each of these lines I've either said yes or no to, I can then select the reviewer. This is typically going to be your admin person in the central office or central area that does make those final approvals. You could select them from the list. This just kind of flags them that you're finished with this, and then I can actually go all the way down and save changes. And so what that does is basically that's my part. I take care of these items that I can see in this area, and when I'm finished with those, I assign the reviewer and save and submit that. Now, let's say you didn't get the driver's license. So this one right here. So if we scroll all the way down, we can see this particular volunteer has not attached a license. So what I can do is select this checkbox right here, and then I can send volunteer email request for selected missing reports. And this is just going to ask them to upload these items for us so that we can review them. So when I click on this, it's going to bring up something already addressed to the volunteer. And it says, volunteers in this case are required to upload driver's license or whatever it may be. This is a customized message that your organization will already have set for you. And so for the most part, you're not going to have to do anything here other than click send. And then what you'll see down here is a list of emails at the bottom that have been sent to this volunteer, letting them know what we need for them. And so it's a super simple, easy thing to do. And so those are the basics of this. Once you save these changes, you'll notice in the admin section that this person is now in a reviewed status. And so it literally kind of drops them down to the lower part and takes the red off of here. So I know that Pat Preston, his application was reviewed. What I can also see is the driver's license and the sex offender check in this case are pending. Now, there are other items on here which are probably somebody else in the central office is responsible for, but you are only responsible for the items that you see when you open the application up, and that's going to vary from organization to organization. So now I'm going to look at this last one on my list. And this is somebody with new attachments. In this case, I asked the volunteer to provide more information, and they've logged into the system and provided those attachments. I'll open this particular one up, and we're going to scroll to that same clearances admin area. And, we would basically look at these attachments, open them up, determine if we have a valid driver's license, and, indicate whether the sex offender check has also been done. And the rest of the process is pretty much the same as before. We'll go ahead and select the next reviewer, and then we'll simply save the changes. So it allows these folks to stay in the list so that your folks in the central office or in the next step of the review complete the items, they will approve or deny the volunteer. The volunteer will most likely automatically get an email saying that they've been approved. They will also show up in the approved volunteers list. And I'll just show you, this is where you can find your approved volunteers up here in the menu bar. If you go to the volunteers menu option, there'll be a submenu for approved volunteers. And so that's just kind of all about the clearances admin model of Volunteer Tracker. I hope it was helpful. Thank you for watching.